What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Tournament Tactics Wildcard Weekend Edition. We're taking a look at the 2 wildcard slates. We're going to break them up. I already did a first look video earlier this week where I kind of treated it all as one giant sort of playoffs. And so today we're going to kind of look at it on a day-by-day basis. Saturday only and Sunday only, get a little feel for that. With me to break it down, the Tournament Tactics crew, the huge crew. Been with us all season long. Burns, a.k.a. the Shark Lab. Bobby Millions. Got to get the millions, get the millions. Josiah, Moneymaker. All right, guys. This is it.
That's a good sign.
What's that? Moneymaker.
That's a good sign. We stopped at Moneymaker. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's a dramatic pause. I was like, what's coming next? But okay,
I was going to say, and Booty Shaker, but then I didn't. Then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say that second part. And then, like,
I'm glad you didn't say that.
If you needed it to come out, I was going to say that. And then I was like, nah, I'm not going to say that.
So good.
So now you know. When I heard it in my head, it sounded great. And then I was like, maybe it's not going to sound as good coming out. I was just going to skip it.
Skip it. Good save. Good save.
You called me out on it. Bobby, shout out for the Miles Sanders.
What a call.
Last week. That was a solid call. Miles Sanders was the GOAT. Not to play last week. That was awesome.
Yeah,
all right. 2-game slate. Let's get started. So Saturday only. We get the Chargers Texans game. 2 great defenses that defense great together. And then we have the Steelers Ravens, also 2 really good defenses. Neither game has a very high total, 43.5 on this Ravens Steelers game. The odds makers do not like the Steelers' ability to score, giving them a pathetic 17-point team total in that one. And then you have the Chargers going into Houston as 3-point, 2.5, 3-point, looks like 3-point at this point, road favorites. That is the backdrop of our slate. When you look at it in a quarterback by quarterback basis, it's like one that stands out above the others, right? You got Lamar and you got everybody else. And so that's kind of the backdrop here. Really easy to play Lamar if he wasn't priced thousands more than everybody else on DraftKings, at least. So that was a good job on DraftKings' part. And a couple other just personal observations that I've seen in the stats were, number one, Baltimore defense has stepped it up and actually has become one of the best defenses in the league, not just against the run, but against the pass. Let's not be fooled. Mm-hmm. Okay, earlier this season, Baltimore was this team that you attacked via the pass. That has not been the case for a while. The other thing is, and this is one is interesting to me, the Chargers have been throwing a lot more than they did earlier this season. So they came into the season as this run first kind of deal, and they've actually elevated their sort of passing rates here in some must-win games, helped probably by the fact that their running backs have been banged up pretty much for the second half of the season. We get a Chargers team that has now Dobbins and Gus Edwards healthy. Really sketchy situation there.
And Ezekiel Elliott.
And they got Zeke in there. Old man strength out there. Shooting hoops. Like, let me get that one. Let me do a little vulturing. I don't know why Zeke Elliott is on that team. And then, the Baltimore gets, so some injury notes. Baltimore gets Justice Hill back. Great. Full health. They lose Zay Flowers, which is actually very big for this team. And I actually think they will change up how they play because of that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But gentlemen, let's get right into it. You've got a short 2-game slate with an seemingly obvious Lamar Jackson play. We're seeing him, the ownership projection currently has him at about 40% with Herbert second. And then, quote unquote, the other 2 guys, the bad ones, Russell Wilson and CJ Stroud coming in, at about 15% ownership. So to that backdrop, philosophically, I want to talk about how you play this. we have an obvious best quarterback on the slate with Lamar. We have an obvious second best guy in Herbert. Now, why is Herbert better than Stroud? He's just been better than him this year. Sorry. Not to mention both, the Houston defense has been great and Chargers defense has been great. A lot of good defenses on this one. So, BobbyWow, how do we play it?
Wow. Yeah. Look, I think there's a couple different ways to do it. I think it ultimately probably comes down to, do we play Lamar or not? Right? That's the first place to start. And if not, you're plugging Derrick Henry directly into your lineup, in my opinion. So it's one or the other for me in this case. And so
both?
I don't. Yeah, with value at running back, you might be able to.
Yeah.
But I do think Zay Flowers out hurts Lamar more than we think, because Pittsburgh is very good. And I think to a degree they can keep Lamar's rushing in check. So I think without Zay Flowers on the field, that's a big weapon taken away from Lamar. So I am a little bit intrigued at the thought of going underweight on Lamar and going overweight on some of these guys like Herbert and Stroud in particular. But man, that to me is the choice, Lamar or not.
Yeah, that's a big part of how the slate is going to have to play out. You got to make that call. Are you willing to dice roll it? Lamar didn't have monster scores in either of the games against the Steelers. It's not that relevant. It doesn't matter. But it's a reminder that, Lamar could get a 21 here and the Steelers could, and the Ravens could still win by 20 points or 30 points even. And with Lamar only get like a 21, which happened against the Steelers already once. So there's that. One interesting thing I think I want to ask you about this, Burns, actually. JPJ.
Yeah.
Right. I'm assuming he's healthy and playing in this game. I've heard nothing to the contrary. So I think a lot of people are going to want to stack Lamar with Rashad Bateman. That's going to be like, all right, there's no Flowers. Bateman's kind of cheap. Let's roll that duo together. But Bateman is actually not a great route runner and probably functions a little better as a WR2. So my question is, could JPJ just be put on Bateman and kind of negate him here? And could that lead to elevated? I think either way, we're going to get elevated targets for Likely and Andrews. Those are the pair that I really like here. But could that lead to sort of a dud game from Bateman?
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, I have it as Joey Porter is going to be on Bateman. So Joey Porter is, he's Patrick Surtain and we've talked about Patrick Surtain all year. At least I have. That you don't want to target wide receivers against him. Yeah, he had that one game where Jerry Jeudy had a good game against him, but 99% of the time, Patrick Surtain shut down the wide receiver that he was going up against. And Joey Porter is, he's not as good as Surtain at this point in time. I mean, Joey Porter's a rookie. So, and he's still essentially like a shutdown corner. So I don't think Rashad Bateman's a good play at all because of that. I think he's actually a poor play.
He is going to be super high owned, Burns. Super high owned.
That's good leverage off of him.
Yeah. He'll be up there. So great. I need permission to do something different. Chat's talking about Aguilar. Chat's talking about Tylan
Wallace.
Wallace.
He's in because Zay's out.
He's shown some upside before too. Tylan Wallace. He said some big plays.
It could be Aguilar. It could be Tylan Wallace. It could be either one of those guys getting popped for a big play, or it could just be Henry, Lamar getting it done with his legs, and maybe like one or both of the tight ends, and then that's it. And then all the goodness comes from the other game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a 25% increase in snaps for Mark Andrews with Zay Flower. He got injured, early in the game. So yeah. Mark Andrews snap count jumped, like you said. Likely snap count bumped up a little bit, and then it was Bateman and Wallace. For the most part, Aguilar was hurt, but yeah, the tight ends, I think, and even Justice Hill here all get boosted in the absence of Zay Flowers.
I like the fact that both tight ends are under 30% owned right now, projected. That's significantly lower than anyone else or the Baltimore Ravens.
In terms of their wide receivers, these are effectively wide receivers. A 2-game slate, just some philosophical things. I always talk about this, but like I got to remind that it's not the same group or people forget. But like in a 2-game slate, you have to forget positions almost. Like that flex is just an extra spot. And you're going to compare it by salary, not by like I need a running back, I need a wide receiver. It's almost always going to be a tight end in this size slate. I think the rate of double tight end at this point is something in the range of 40%, where that's the nut play. And I think it's been all of them this year. Like I hate making statements like that, but I feel like it's been every 2-game slate this year and 3-gamer where a double tight end was the correct call.
Yeah. And maybe the most important thing to note is, to your point, Kev, we saw, 40% of the time, both tight ends were on the field last week with Zay Flowers out. So we're talking about Isaiah likely operating in that WR3 role. We only saw a bump in snaps for Wallace. Like Devontae Walker saw, a couple more snaps, but more than not, it was both tight ends being on the field at the same time when they normally wouldn't have. So I think that's a big deal. And you talk about double tight end. I think even double Ravens tight end could be an option.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was not saying both of these guys. I think you might as well treat Likely as if he's the WR2 right now, and a WR2 on a team that has the WR1 blanketed by a really good corner. That's how I'm looking at it. Again, one of the reasons I don't love worrying too much about these cornerback matchups is because then you watch the game and he's not even on that guy, or the team's moving him around. But I don't think that's what they're going to do with Bateman. Bateman is pretty vanilla in terms of where they line him up and what he's doing.
I like
Bateman is a dart throw wide receiver, and his ownership is that of a wide receiver 1 or 2. And so I really just don't think you should think of Bateman as more of a dart throw. He's still viable. I'll have exposure to him, but he's literally a dart throw. Yeah.
Well, I think he's looked at as a cheap WR1 right now. Mm-hmm. But again, and he is that except the Steelers are actually good against that WR1 spot. That's the one thing that they do exceptionally well. So why would the Ravens go to that? It would be stupid. Speaking of the Steelers, let's shift gear to Russell Wilson and let's talk a little bit about Ruzzy Wizzles here.
Hey, Kev, before we move over there, couldn't we think of because the 2 wide receivers outside of Rashad Bateman, they're pretty much blah, right? They're not great. Could you even think of like Charlie Kolar as like almost like a third tight end that you could go to get you off of some of the chalkier, like even like Isaiah Likely, who, who's probably going to do a lot better. But, if you get him at sub 1% ownership, and he's probably better than Tylan Wallace and, other guys on the field when he's on the field, I'm just saying it's a huge, large field GPP type play, not your single entry, low entry plays.
It's definitely a showdown play. Does it work on a 2-game slate? A player like Kohler, it could. He's done it once this season. He had that game. We all saw it. He's back, right? He hadn't been playing, by the way, for quite a few weeks, and he's back. So yeah. I mean, I think he's more of a showdown turd for me than somebody I'm excited about. I would be loath a little bit to waste even the flex spot on that guy when like Likely is like 3,200. It's not like these other guys are expensive. They're also super cheap to the point where it's hard for me to Kohler would effectively need to catch like 5 receptions. I think it's asking a little bit unlikely, but he'll be more than 1% owned probably, or he'll be around that 1% owned rate. That is anybody like that. Who was the guy on the Chargers? Dario Davis or whatever, the dude who got the long touchdown, the 4th string wide receiver. That stuff happens on these slates, and actually that is what wins it. I would say you have a few like win the tournament turds on this team, and it's some of those names. It's the Nelson Aguilars of the world, on the Raven side, now I can't remember that other guy, Tylan Wallace's of the world. Like those are the win the slate because you played them guys, but you got to build around certain things. And I think you can build around Andrews and Likely with, do you guys feel like you need to double stack Lamar?
No.
No for you, Burns? Josiah?
Yeah, on a 2-gamer, I think you do. I think you double stack him, but I'm also including Derrick Henry in that too.
At that
Just
point,
for
yeah.
correlation perspective, yeah, I stack him with 2.
Yeah, if you're calling Derrick Henry part of stack, then it's really more of a no, right? So yeah, no, you don't need it. Can do it. Sim boost on the Dom station might cause it to happen a little bit, and you'll maybe not force it, but let the sim boost make it happen for us. Yeah, let's flip to the other side of this game. Let's talk a little Russell Wilson. Are we interested in Wilson at all? Is anybody comfortable just fading Russell Wilson for the slate? Like, I have an argument for the fade. I love that you're nodding your head, Josiah, so I'm going to go to you. So how about this argument? And you tell me if this speaks to you.
Okay.
If Wilson's doing it, Lamar's doing it more.
Yeah. Not even a question. Right? Sure. I think that's a fine argument. The other argument is just that this offense has been anemic for the last 6-7 weeks. The Ravens defense has been the opposite. They've been fantastic the last 6 to 7 weeks. There's no reason to play the Russell Wilson here.
I like favored everything when it comes to football, right? In this case, and Bobby and Burns, I'm going to throw this to you. Is it really like if the Steelers start doing offense, aren't the Ravens just going to match it and pass it and just have a crazy ass, even better game? I'm not saying we can't play one-off Pickens, one-off Freiermuth, or one-off turd wide receivers, but I'm just saying, like, do we need Wilson? Can I fade that 15% and do something different with it?
Go ahead, Burnsy.
I mean, I think you can. He's like you said, I really like the adage that you put out there. If he's doing it and he's doing it well, Lamar is doing it better. Lamar and company are doing it better. So I like that adage. And that's a good way to think about this game, because if Pittsburgh could keep it close. I mean, these two teams know each other really well. So Pittsburgh could keep it close, and I think Baltimore pulls it. Like they pull away in the end, but yeah.
Let me give you a picture of me watching this game, and let's say I was long Lamar Jackson shares, which I will be. Every time Pittsburgh scored, I'm like, nice, because I think that it just means that Lamar's going to have to answer more aggressively. So, like, I don't care. Yeah, all right, I'm comfortable with that too. Let's shift focus. I think
I will. I just play devil's advocate for a second here.
There you go.
Lamar is 8K. Okay, that will become price restrictive at some point. It just will, because you're going to want to play at least one of, maybe two of Nico, Pickens, and Ladd McConkey. And you can't do that.
Or we fade those turds.
Or you fade those. But that's kind of the pushback is this game, just because Pittsburgh wins doesn't mean they're scoring a ton. It could be a 21-17 game. Steelers win, and Russ scores 2 of the 3 touchdowns, pass for 200 yards, 250 yards. And he could outscore both Stroud and Herbert. Then you factor in the difference in salary of almost $3K. That's a pretty legitimate difference. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that the Texans Chargers game is very low scoring, and we see a back and forth defensive battle there, which would mean Russ would just have to keep things close with Lamar score wise, and he becomes the nuts, which I don't think is impossible here given the defensive matchup and the cold.
If the Steelers win this game, I will wear the turd hat next week on this show.
Or, flip it. 21-17 Ravens. Russ scores, passes for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, it could be a close game. Yeah, it could be a close game, and Lamar still outscores him. Or it could be a blowout, but Derrick Henry scores 30, gets 3 touchdowns along the way. Lamar didn't need to do much. He only gets a 16, and Russell Wilson, gets 20. So, yes, there are versions of the play. What I just don't see is Russell Wilson also got to beat out CJ Stroud and Herbert in order to be relevant. So it's not a 1-to-1.
But I mean, could you? Yeah. What chance would you put on that game, the Texans Chargers game, that it's like a 17-14, 21, 21-15 matchup?
I feel like all of the Houston games have gone that way this year. So I could see that being.
That's why.
But even that, I just don't see the Steelers being. I guess one thing to note and remember that game? It was like Denver Chargers, and it seemed like it would be the shittiest game of all time, and it went 37, 34, and it was the most insane, high scoring, unexpected, crazy game. You never know. And that was just a reminder. And I always, it's that game that sticks out in my head. Every time I think, this game is shit, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought that game was going to be shit. So you never know.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know. With that being said, if you played Russell Wilson, let's talk about who you might stack him with here. Certainly for me, I would want, if it's Russell Wilson, I'm game stacking, it's pieces from both sides. That's the other thing. If I'm playing Russ, same theory, pieces from both sides. But from his team, Freiermuth was the best guy. And then you have Cortland Sutton, Caleb Austin, and maybe Hopium plays with the rest of them, Mike Williams, and anybody that you guys like in terms of stacks with Russ.
It's Pickens and Muth for me. If Russ is doing well, it's because those two guys are doing well.
Yep. For me, it's Pickens in particular. If Russ is doing well, Pickens is crushing.
Warren and Austin are viable, sure, but
yeah,
the two main guys are Muth and Pickens.
Yeah, and again, I would just include Jaylen Warren in those. I actually don't mind Jaylen Warren in my Lamar Jackson stacks as well, just like if they're kicking their ass. One thing to understand about the Steelers, if they're down big, Najee's not going to be relevant. They're going to go to Jaylen Warren, and Jaylen Warren is the better running back, in my opinion, in this game. Real quick, look at the prop projections for the other two quarterbacks here. Look how low, by the way, the props have it for Russ. It's really brutal. Like, if you're listening, if you believe the props, it's not good for Russ. 13.8. That's as low as it gets for a quarterback. That is Spencer Rattler level. That's rattlesnake numbers right there. That's like the Sergeant Tim Doyle is starting for the Jets.
Oh,
geez. Slap a 13 on him too. Like, it's no different.
That's what it's like. That's what Wilson will look like out there tomorrow.
Probably, right? It's going to be gross. So let's talk about this next game. And you got Justin Herbert coming in second highest owned on the slate. Comes with a solid 17.7 on his prop projection. So on a fantasy points per dollar basis, he value-wise is above Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Above. Interesting, right? So Vegas and the bettors like Justin Herbert here. They don't like Stroud, who is coming in an anemic 15.2 on his prop, which is just low. Also for him, it's hard to say. He's at 15.2 for his prop
per dollar. 0.1. He's not like crazy wildly separate
versus the 17.7 that Herbert is.
I was looking at the 3.03 to the 3.13. That's all.
Oh, the $500 difference. Oh, you're looking at that. But I'm looking at the raw number for these two. Yes.
Sure.
In terms of value, it's not that different. They're all three of them about the same. But I mean, from a raw points. Oh, you know what? No, I didn't shift this. Hold on.
Deezus seems to like Stroud the most.
Yeah.
No, not anymore. So when I go to props projection, it is Herbert who stands out. I just shifted to it looking at the props. I was looking at the standard Deezus projection for the fantasy points.
The rating, the rating over here.
Yeah.
Both guys though, points per dollar wise, better than Lamar. Even Stroud skates by here.
I wonder why Stroud gets the higher rating. That's really interesting as an underdog, but there it is.
He's at home.
No, in a zero. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. This might
I don't care what it is.
This is a playoff anomaly that you're seeing on the screen. There is no. I don't think it's right.
Yeah, I will admit I'm a little biased when it comes to Stroud, primarily because I've played him a good amount this season, and I've played him in fantastic matchups,
and it's been terrible.
He should smash, and that was back when he had Diggs, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins. But here we are, and he's facing a Chargers defense that's actually good, has a really good pass rush. He's going to be on the ground most of the game. I'm also not going to play CJ either tomorrow. He's just an awful play, in my opinion.
If you're Houston, what are you doing? In this game, if I'm Houston, you know what I'm doing? I'm saying, let's slow it down, give it to Mixon, play a slow, low scorer, and try to win it on the last drive or try to get a lead, try to play defense. Houston has been one of the best defenses too. Let's not forget the reason they're in the playoffs is not because CJ Stroud was good. It was because they played strong defense out of nowhere, really. Who knew Houston was good defensively coming into the season, but they were, and that's how they got here. So you got to just hand it to Mixon over and over and over again and hope. So you're out on Stroud as well, Josiah. You're going Herbie and Lamar all in?
Yep, Herbie and Lamar all in. Mixon got him here, Mixon in defense, and I don't think Stroud can get him out of this if they play it smart.
Yeah, and all they've done is lose talent at wide receiver throughout the season. It's not like, I don't even know if Deontay Johnson's going to play.
Yeah,
he might not be active. You think so, BobbyWow?
He's an ant. We don't care. It doesn't matter either way to me.
We don't care about the what do you have personal.
He's gonna play though. He's gonna play. The coach is like talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, he's a real football player.
Yeah, he'll play.
Sure, he's real. Yeah.
Yeah. Drew Shady says it was a bad division that helped. Yeah, you know, when the Colts are your biggest competition, sure. I mean, that does help.
I think in tournaments, if you're playing a deeper tournament, I think Stroud is the pivot piece. You know, he's the leverage play. Whether he scores a lot or not, you know, no, obviously there's no guarantee there. He doesn't look sexy. He hasn't looked sexy all season. But at 5,500 with a very obvious stack partner in Nico and a couple really intriguing supplemental pieces, you know, the Chargers are much better against the run than they are against the pass. We even saw AOC put some decent numbers up against the Chargers last week, and we've seen Bo Nix and Baker Mayfield a couple weeks before put up some bigger numbers too. So I think the Chargers and Harbaugh, they lock in on Mixon and they force Stroud to make plays. And you know, that could be a good thing for fantasy purposes, or you know, could blow up like it has all season. So he's my pivot point in tournaments. I will be well over the field on him, as much as it pains me and as much as it's hurt me this season. That ownership and price and, you know, his stack partners, I think they're too good to pass up leverage wise.
So who are you under on, Bobby? Like, are you under on Herbert or Lamar?
Both Herbert and Lamar.
Both to be over on CJ?
Particularly Lamar though. Yeah.
Just going to fade a little Lamar and hope that something else works out.
That makes sense.
Can we all agree that Harbaugh is going to be going bananas on the sidelines, just yelling, vein popping, vein going in the forehead right over here? You know, it's going to see it pulsating on his the intensity of that guy. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I'm not going to pay
-1,000
CJ anymore. Bobby got me on board. I'll match the field.
Look, I'm with you though. You know, I feel what you're feeling for sure. Just leverage wise in tournaments, there's no better play at quarterback than him.
I've done it all year, and it is the one spot you can get really good leverage. I might as well go down with the ship.
You're going down with the Stroud ship.
Welcome aboard.
Guys, let's shift gear a little bit and let's talk about the running back position for this slate. Remember, we got 2 slates to cover, so I gotta remind myself that. And Burns got a OSU game coming up, so we're gonna hammer through. Running backs for this one at the high. So you've got Mixon and Derrick Henry, the big names. I think that running back is where you get some leverage here. So Mixon and Derrick Henry, the big names, been great all year, helped you get to the fantasy playoffs, all that good stuff. Then at 50% owned, we've got a J.K. Dobbins who's sharing the backfield with Gus Edwards. Sketchy and does not really catch a lot of passes. I think it's a sketchy play. Personal opinion. Props agree. He's just massively lower in terms of his projection than these other two. And he's not like that. I guess he is enough cheaper that one could say it's significant. Then you have Gus Edwards is on that team. He's healthy. It's concerning. Najee and Jaylen Warren are the other two. With Jaylen Warren, I think the same ownership. So no different. The ownership is the same at 25 for those two guys. So you went 60s for Henry and Mixon, with Henry being the clear-cut better play. Dobbins, sketchy at his price, but at least a favored running back for 6K. Then Harrison Warren. And then, of course, you have all of the backups. You got your Gus, could get a touchdown. I could see it. Justice Hill could be in the game in the second half of a blowout doing his thing. Hassan Haskins had been active, but I don't think that's going to be the case here with the other two guys back. I don't think any other running backs are relevant. So with that being said, again, Josiah, what about you here? Henry, Mixon, Dobbins, Harris, and Warren. That's pretty much your starters. You got Edwards and Justice Hill functioning as the backups. And, Damian Pierce as my Mixon gets hurt. Pierce comes in, wins you the showdown, except it's a 2-gamer guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I think running back is a little gross just because it's pretty clear where you want to go. And I'm also aligned with you all on wanting to fade Dobbins to some extent. He's still showing up in a few of my lines, but he's not someone I'm prioritizing like I am Henry and Mixon. And then I was a little surprised that Harris was cheaper and lower owned than Warren. Do you guys have a lean?
Slightly higher.
Yeah, slightly. Do y'all have a lean on why that's the case, or what am I missing here?
I understand why it's cheaper. I just think the ownership is wrong. I don't think that's what will be. I just think it's wrong. I think Warren will be higher owned in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's such a better play. Not to mention that the props prefer Warren.
100%.
That's all you need to know. He's a point higher for about the same price.
Mm-hmm.
And our analysis of the game flow favors Warren. The reason Harris is there is because he scored a touchdown like in a recent game, so Harris was the nut in week 18. That's why he's there. He was the better play. He was actually the nuts running back on the week 18 slate. So he got the touchdown. And so that's what shifts it. Remember, we only care about what happened last week in DFS. We don't actually do that, but that's what the field does. The field only cares about what happened last week. I do dynasty fantasy football, and that's how that works. Nico Collins has a 30-point game. You can't buy him for 3 first-rounders. Nico Collins has a bad game. You can't sell him. That's just how it is. It's like that was just 1 week. What does that matter? So with this being said, Josiah, you're big on same guys, I guess. Henry. Anything unusual here? Do anybody have a special take other than play Henry and Warren as your top guys? And like BobbyWow, give me some DFS goodness with this. How do we make it work for us?
I think Justice Hill is going to be way overlooked again. He was out. We saw Keaton Mitchell. He's kind of the forgotten man on this slate. He props out decently, not awesome, but at 4,500,
not bad.
Guy that looks to be sub 10% ownership. I mean, he could easily end up in the nuts with, if he ends up with 4 or 5 catches, a couple rushes, that might be enough on DraftKings to get him there. So I think Justice Hill and Jalen Warren are the X factors for me.
Would you be comfortable making a lineup that just didn't have Henry or Mixon in it or Dobbins? You just play those two.
Probably.
Yeah. That'll be different. That I think is how you get unique.
Yeah. The question really becomes, can some of these wide receivers, the top 3, particularly with Pickens, McConkey, and Collins, can they outscore Henry and Mixon? That's really what the question becomes. I think they can, but it's tough. It's tough on a slate with really good defenses.
There's definitely a chance that they can't.
Definitely a chance they can't.
Yeah. Henry and Hill, same lineup. I'm going to say yes to that.
I wouldn't go against that on a 2-game slate, no. The one thing I will add is I do want to make sure I am just getting exposure to guys like Pierce, Hill, Gus Edwards, guys who have a chance to fall into the end zone. Those aren't the guys I'm going to have like 50+ exposure to, but you do want to make sure they're falling into your lineups.
With Pierce, I'm literally going to have a rule that he cannot be in the lineup with Mixon. I want Pierce for my injury lineup. I'd rather have him in a injury substitution scenario rather than a both guys do well or he just randomly gets a touchdown scenario.
Can I ask why Pierce over Dare?
For me?
Yeah. By the way, studs are going to stud. By the way, so I forgot to say it for this, but I'm going to keep saying it. Stud's going to stud. We don't want to fade too much Henry. Baltimore has no reason to not let Henry do his thing all the way till the 4th quarter, up by 21. Henry's still in the game.
That's the other thing is I wanted to mention Derrick Henry is going to catch some passes in this game. He hasn't done much this season, but he will be out there to catch some passes on Saturday tomorrow.
Can we lock button? Let me. I want to lock button Derrick Henry and play him in every fucking lineup. Can I do that, BobbyWow? Give me permission.
I think you can. I really think you can. Yeah. Let me put it this way. If there was somebody at running back that I would lock button, Henry would be the guy. I think your strategy has to be pretty, there has to be a balanced strategy where I wouldn't be playing as much Lamar if that's the case. But again, I think if there was a running back to lock, it's Henry.
Oh, definitely. So that's I'm leaning. I'm leaning that way. I'm leaning just saying, don't be stupid. Stud's gonna stud. Play the fucking stud that got you there.
He'll get 30 touch unless the game's not competitive. He'll get 30 touches potentially with some passing reps in there as well.
Derrick Henry splits on games when his team wins are ridiculous, and that goes back an entire career. I'm not talking about this year, last year, the year before. I'm talking about his whole career, and he's an old dude, and he's been around forever. Burns, anything to add here on this running back chat, or we shift over to wide receivers?
Just shift over to wide receivers. Everything you guys have already talked about, pretty much I'm in line with.
I like the can't wait to watch the OSU game version of Burns. Like, let's go. Move on. You got it. Nailed it.
It's going to be an awesome game. Last night's game was awesome too. So
it's just nonstop college football action. All right. Wide receiver group. I'm sorting by ownership projections. Nothing's here shocking. So McConkey, highest owned, followed by Nico, up there. George Pickens, 45%. Pickens, hit or miss. Quentin Johnston coming off of the most targets he's had all year at 42%. So people liking that duo from the Chargers.
Are you going to forgive him?
What's that? No, I mean, I get it. I like him too. Right. And then, of course, Bateman here at 40%. We talked about him before. Going to be tough coverage, getting the WR1 treatment. We'll see how that goes for him. Houston backing up Nico Collins with Mechie. And who's not showing up, but is going to be on the field the whole time? Xavier Hutchinson. I don't know why he's going to be all the way down here. I'm not sure it's going to be a great game for him, but he should be the WR3, I think, for Houston, unless you guys think like Bobby Trees or Deontay will get that role. I don't know. Do you think Deontay or Bobby Trees will get that role?
I think Deontay could mix in with, for sure. He will mix in with Hutch, but
yeah, I think Deontay is worth taking a shot on. Obviously, they don't feel great about what they have at the wideout position right now. That's why they brought in Deontay Johnson.
Do you think he's ready to play?
He played last week, but granted, not a lot of other players did. But
yeah, I mean, he went with the backups. That doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah,
I don't know. They already said he's playing more. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they play Deontay as WR3 instead of Hutchinson.
Yeah, it's a gross situation. It's hard to know really what they're going to do. You're making an educated guess either way.
Okay. Nico Collins and George Pickens. So George Pickens has not been like this amazing, consistent guy. He's had his good games, but I mean, it wasn't that long ago. He was going 1 for 6 against the Bengals. Right? Bengals were supposed to be this terrible defense. He got you a 1. And then the week before that against K-Sizzles, 7 targets, 3 receptions. Then the week before that, only 6 targets, 3 receptions. So George, and then a couple weeks before pre-injury, and even yeah. But my point is, George Pickens is definitely a player that is capable of putting up a dud, even when he is the sole focal point of the passing offense for his team. He's going to be.
The thing is, though, Geek, who are you going to play below him that you're more confident? Like, this is a 2-game slate. You're talking about Quentin Johnson. You're talking about John Mechie, Nelson Agholor. Like, there are not many options at wide receiver here.
It's getting weird out there, right? Yeah, this gets weird. You really only have, you have to play 3. McConkey, high floor guy. Hasn't shown like the hugest ceiling all the time, but very high floor. You feel confident. McConkey's getting you 15, could go more, but you feel pretty good about like a 15 out of him. You've got Nico, who's big play. Nico going to be massively owned, but Nico is another wide receiver. As much as I love this dude, he hasn't been like consistently putting up monster scores of late. 14. Now this might be enough.
15 is probably enough here.
Yeah, it's probably enough, but that's what I think it really is going to end up being. That you don't get the greatest a 30 out of Nico, but this is a 2-game. Who cares? You get a
outside of Lamar Jackson, Nico Collins, his prop projection is the best on the slate. He's better than any running back. any other wide receiver, tight end. His prop projection tops
he's just
everybody
going to be
except Lamar.
he's going to be massively owned. You're not getting any leverage when you're playing him. You're just kind of hanging around with the field.
And McConkey's comparable with Mixon, by the way, just to kind of put it out there for reference.
Yeah. Absolutely. Quentin Johnston has been the sort of best guy. 14 targets, 8, 6, 10. So, I mean, he's on a string.
He's been good.
He's been catching the ball.
Yeah. No more drops.
Ever since I needed like one more catch out of him in this, I think it was this KC game. I can't remember which game it was.
Yeah.
Oh, no. In the Baltimore game, I just needed one catch. And he dropped 3 of them. And he was dead to me. Had another dud. But after that, he's come back to life.
So
it's resurrected.
He
back. Crushed the slate last weekend.
Like Sauron after the first age. Lord of the Rings.
It was him and Herbie. They crushed last weekend.
And not to go too crazy on this, but again, Quentin Johnson props out better than both Warren and Najee Harris, just for the record. And he's cheaper.
He's gotten 11.
No, he's got like 10 prop projection, basically.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, prop based. He's at a 10. Let's look at the all. You know what? Let's see here by salary. So
any backup running back or and Najee.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston a little above Warren and Harris. Bateman props better than all of them.
Sort by prop. Yeah, sort by that prop column, prop projection.
Yeah, that's why I have it. I have it that way. And I don't like looking at it with the quarterbacks in there. It kind of messes up what I'm looking at, but Mixon, McConkey, Stroud, Dobbins, Pickens below Dobbins. Not a good sign for him either. And then Mark Andrews at 4,700 above a lot of these other guys. Mark Andrews would be a heavy duty play.
Yeah, he is. He's close to a lock button for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes that 2 tight end setup work.
So if you had to lock anyone in, doesn't matter the position, but you had to lock in, let's just say 3 guys, right? For this 2-game slate, you had to lock them in. Who are your 3 guys?
For me, it's Derrick Henry, lock button. Probably Nico Collins. I don't like the price, but I really like Nico and Ladd. That'd be my safest bets, but I'm not sure on a fantasy points per dollar basis. Oh no, I forgot about tight ends. Yeah, Andrews, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews. I don't know who the third. Maybe and maybe Nico. What about you, Burns?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Andrews and Lamar, or not Lamar, Andrews and Derrick Henry. And then from there, it's either I lock in Herbert or I lock in Lamar.
Yeah, it's tough to. I don't want to lock button a quarterback because I just don't want to.
Yeah, but they can still get you more points, raw points.
Josiah, who are your 3 locks?
Yeah, I mean, just to get weird with it, I would do Henry, Lamar, and Johnston.
Quentin.
But you could add in Nico Collins to replace Johnston.
No, but it's better to do a cheap one anyway. I'm not going to lock Nico just because I'm not going to lock a wide receiver. Yeah. BobbyWow.
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably Andrews for sure. He's the stone cold lock for me. And then, Nico Collins is up there, Ladd's up there, and then Jalen Warren's up there as well. So
yeah,
Mark Andrews is my guy.
Warren might be the lock button because of the lack of choices at running back. Yeah, Warren might be somebody you want to go significantly above the field on at running back. Any other thoughts here at the wide receiver? How about the turds at wide receiver? Does anybody stand out like a turd that's floating to the top of the bowl?
Tylan Wallace, number 1. I don't think his ownership's going to climb that high here. He's right now it's at 9%. I don't know that it'll get over like 15 or 20%. But I think he's a viable turd.
Do we know between Tylan and Aguilar, for example? Because I could say the same for Aguilar. Do we know between those guys if we have a preference or if the team has a preference for one or the other in terms of getting them the snaps? Let's take a look here. Aguilar.
He's been hurt, but he'll be back. He's healthy.
He's just coming back. So it was Tylan Wallace. So it looks like when Flowers came out, Tylan Wallace got all of the snaps last week. And now we have the return of Aguilar, so now we don't really know.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Aguilar will become I think Aguilar's role he'll be the Devontae Walker role. He'll be the 25-30% snap would be my assumption here, with Wallace getting 50 to 60, maybe 70%.
What about some of these other turds? Somebody in the chat, Bill Ho mentioned Calvin Austin. I think John Mechie is a live turd.
You talked about Hutch. I think the turds are pretty obvious here. Hutchinson, he'll be on the field at least. Wallace, yeah. Calvin Austin, a little higher priced, but he's he's certainly viable. He's got a high ceiling for his price tag.
I think the Sunday game. Yeah, the Sunday game we have a lot more turd options to look at, but here I think you've touched on pretty much all of the guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick overview of the tight ends. We love double tight ends on 2-game slates around here. Not just we. That's what wins. So
100% tight end in the flex?
Nope. Will not do that. But if it happens, not going to fight it too hard. I think having 50% tight end in the flex is almost a must on a 2-game slate. Guys, if you never watched my back testing videos for 2-game slates, I've back tested a lot of these. It is not a all the time thing, but because of the way the math tends to work out, it's just very, very common that a second tight end, it does not always, because some slates have weird pricing where you could just afford whatever you want and it gets rid of it. But this is not that. This is not a slate where you have endless pricing, endless value at all. I don't really see much value. It's late in the season. We know who these people are. We know who these players are. DraftKings knows how to price them. I don't see any misprices. Not one. Or actually, I'll ask you guys, do you see a mispriced player here? I'm not really feeling that.
All underpriced to me.
All underpriced is different than one guy who's unusually underpriced.
And I'm glad Mark Andrews. I'm glad there's a tiny bit of a gap between him. I know Fryer was there, but because smash the love button on Andrews. He's going to get a ton of targets.
I think the Muth is overpriced.
Hey, he's been pretty dang good, over the last
games.
He's been involved quite a bit.
Couple games. Let's talk about the rest of these tight ends. We love Andrews. We like Muth. Both expensive, right? Then you've got Isaiah Likely, who I think is spectacular for 3,200 and is going to be my primary flex guy. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, when I need that 3K super cheapy, it's always going to be Likely. He props out very well, all things considered. I actually think his prop is too low because with Flowers out, I think he benefits the most. But interestingly, Dalton Schultz is popping like crazy in the projection model, in the prop projection model. The best of any of them. He's a full point above Isaiah Likely, and he's not going to be owned. It should be low owned. What about Dalton Schultz? Has he been doing it lately?
He's absolutely playable.
He's been doing it. 3 target. I don't get it.
Ish. He's been doing it ish. Barely.
Yeah, I don't think he's been doing it. I don't think
like that entire offense.
15 and a half, 17. He's got some scores in there. Not look at Likely scores. And so these guys, no one's hot all the time here outside of maybe Andrews and Fryermuth as of late.
Yeah, if they were good all the time, they wouldn't be
Look at that 6, 7, 11, 3. All those are better than Schultz is better than all those.
I'm mostly just surprised about the prop. Like, I was like, whoa, that's a high prop for Dalton Schultz. That's surprising. Will Dissly, also under the radar, low owned. Now they write in letters because they miss me.
He's been a target machine for Herbert when he's been healthy. Dissly.
At times. Also 3,400. Yeah, there's a lot of options here that will be playable.
Yeah, consistency is all of these tight ends is weaknesses.
You can uncheck everyone but the top 5 here, and I'm jacking up the projection on all 5 of those starting guys. Dissly, Fryer, Likely, Schultz, Andrews, and I think there will be plenty of double tight end among those guys. That's the way I'm doing it.
Yeah, very doable. Very doable.
I don't think you play anyone else at tight end. I don't know how you do.
Defenses for this slate. I think the 2 bet. I mean, mix them up? What do you think? I'm not playing I'm not Steelers. Can you play the Steelers?
That's ballsy. I can't do that. That's what I refuse to do.
I can, man. A $1,500 difference is crazy, but yeah, it's tough. You're right. It's really tough to make the case.
I don't think I want to play too much Ravens either. So one thing I noticed, another thing I've noted in playoff slates is a lot of the time what ends up happening. So I'll just clue everybody in on what I've observed. A lot of times what ends up happening is none of the defenses score well. These are playoff teams. They're all good. They're all good at football. They're all going to not make a lot of mistakes. No one's coming in unprepared. Now, it's first week, so you can see a team get overwhelmed wildcard weekend. This is not the same. Next weekend, throw the defenses, play the cheap one. This weekend, you do sometimes see a little bit of that. But the issue for me right now is Texans defense is pretty good. So is Chargers defense. Like those are actual good defenses too.
So are the Steelers. They're very good.
These are all actual pretty good teams. But the Steelers are going up against like the number one offense. I think the Steelers on the road are not going to be able to score fantasy points with their defense. But they're so cheap, it might just be a let me play whoever I want because I save money on the defense. I think
even a Calvin, like a special team, Calvin Austin punt return touchdown, like that. Those things are in play here on a 2-game slate.
True.
Yeah, anything can happen. I think Texans at 2,700, like Ken Caniff is saying here in the chat, and John Marchese. Yes,
Herbert doesn't turn the ball over though. That's the problem.
No, they don't. But who cares? At least they're cheaper. The one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not forcing Ravens in.
No, agreed. Has Lamar?
Yes.
Is Lamar? Does he have a monkey on his back still? That's my question. Is he going to feel the weight of if I don't do it this time? It's going to be hard on me. Like it feels like the Steelers can take advantage of that. Mike Tomlin's incredible. The Steelers defense is good. What if Lamar has that monkey on his back a little bit? We've seen it in the playoffs time and time again.
That would be crazy
last year, but
I don't like to believe in shit like that.
I mean, it's not it's the numbers are the numbers, right? He's in the playoffs. This has been a consistent thing that we've seen over and over again. It is the one thing that you can point to about Lamar and say that's really the only reason he's not incredibly great.
This year,
my lack of belief in shit like that was why I didn't expect the Cowboys to lose the last 5 years in a row in round one of the playoffs either. I was like, Dak is there. He's good. What are you talking about?
Okay, that's bad. You should have known that one.
No, I didn't. I was like, oh, they're going to win. So
let's not forget, Lamar without his top weapon, Zay Flowers, who he went to in the playoffs last. That's where he found success last season. Zay is out.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry's in, and so is two tight ends that are good. I don't see it. The Steelers are not that team. They ain't that good. They're the team that kind of finagled their way. In my mind, they finagled their way into the playoffs. They weaseled their way in, playing defense and kicking field goals all season long.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about here. Defense
and kicking field goals. But that works when you're playing against mediocre offenses. When you're up against the best offense, your great defense gets negated. Now you got to score. And the problem is their mediocre offense is going to have a hard time scoring against the elite Ravens defense. And so just the numbers, if both teams are playing like their game, Ravens are going to dominate this one.
Yeah. It's Chargers or Ravens here. One of these two teams will make the team they're going up against look embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
For me,
I'm for that. All right. It seems like we did a whole show, but there's a whole second slate to take a look at. Burns is like, OSU. Don't worry. We're going to go through it. Here, we're going to knock this thing out. We're going to take it double speed for the second one.
I ain't worried.
Schultz and Andrew Tate for the 2 tight end lineup. I'm going to say yes to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But, I like Muth in there. I really like double Baltimore tight end too. I really like it. But it was Schultz and Andrews who won. Not Schultz. It was Muth and Andrews who won, who were the double in the last 2-gamer that we had. Yes, Jay, I will be doing a Dom Station FanDuel focused setup tonight. Gummy time. You know when it is, right? Probably 10 p.m. We'll be bazoing good for that one, guys. So just giving you a heads up on that. let's shift gears. We don't have ownership projections for Sunday as of yet, so we're going to have to wing it. But we're going to shift gears and we're going to take a look at the Sunday slate. And we got a beautiful 3-game slate. Let's take a look at the games, guys, and we're gonna quick time this one. So Jalen Hurts is on it. Awesome.
Returning from an injury.
The game of the slate is Washington. I like this slate a lot.
Me too. It's fun.
Yeah. This is why I'm playing the 6-game slate.
Yeah.
I love these 3 games.
If I'm playing the 6th game, I'm not even touching players from Saturday. Yeah. I'm literally not touching anyone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the game.
These 3 games are awesome. And the Monday night game is awesome too. So
True.
Showdown breakdown on that one. No spoilers. So we're going to save that one for Monday.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for a 6-gamer.
Yeah.
Across the whole weekend. This is probably the best. This slate right here and Monday night are the best games.
Absolutely. So take a look at these 3 games. First, you've got a what looks to be a blowout situation with the Bills taking on the Broncos at home, and we all love the Bills and all that. Broncos were really good in that last week. We all got a little fooled, I think. Don't get excited by what you saw against the Broncos team that played a Chiefs team that literally was not playing the game. They didn't play.
Defense. 2 or 3 defense for the Chiefs last weekend. So
what does that mean?
They're going to go up against a way better defense.
Second and third stringers.
Not only that, no, they didn't play. They didn't try to do anything. The Chiefs were like, we just want to go home. So you got to throw away what you saw. He looked great. Loved.
That's what I'm saying. Don't rely on last weekend.
Fantasy fling was like love and life, running around. I saw him on Twitter.
As he should, though. As he should. This is a rare occasion for the Broncos, and
Let
they
him be
are
happy.
set up well for the future too. So it's a good time to be a Bronco fan. I believe that.
Yeah, listen, Fling was out there. He's on Twitter, told you so, and everybody about Bo Nix. I think Nix was good anyway. You didn't need that game. I thought he was already good. I'm already excited about Nix if I'm a Broncos fan. But what you saw last week, throw it away. That was not a real game. That was a bullshit game. So with that being said, yeah, I think this is right. Broncos get a whooping, and they lose this game. They're not ready for prime time yet. They're excited with the rookie quarterback just to be in the playoffs.
But it doesn't mean they can't make it fun. And Bo Nix still scores well.
If they do, that will score well for Nix, but even better for Josh Allen.
Man.
Don't forget those guys. If Broncos put up resistance, Josh Allen is going nuclear.
Absolutely.
That's why you don't need him. That's why you don't need him. I'll give me nuclear Josh Allen. That's a 40. That's a 40 bag. That's a 40-point spot.
With Shakir, absolutely.
Second game, spectacular. Now, we haven't seen a great version of Jordan Love this year, but Jalen Hurts is there at home. We love Jalen Hurts, puts up big scores when needed. That game features Saquon, all that good stuff. It's got the lowest total on the slate at 45.
It's a weird spot because Hurts has been out for the last few weeks because he's been banged up, and then Jordan Love got banged up last week with his hand. So it's hard to know what we can really trust in this one.
Is the low game total just because the Eagles might win 45-0? Are they accounting for no Packer points or what?
No. And your Packer bias is showing. Your anti-Packer bias is
I'm on my high horse right now because the Bears absolutely made them look horrific last week, and I am thrilled.
Which is the only reason I feel like I might be able to play Hurts is because if Caleb Williams looked good against this Packers defense last week, Hurts, who might be a little rusty, he should be fine.
Hurts will be fine. You know who else is going to be fine? Saquon Barkley running all over the clowns. So that's the issue. This game, for me, is the least appealing of these 3. I think Packers could win the game, by the way. It's not out of the realm of shit that could happen that the Packers just win this game. Yeah, and then they have easy street.
The problem is what happened to Jordan Love? Is Jordan Love seeing ghosts? Because he's been so bad. He's been so bad.
He's having a sophomore slump, even though he's not a sophomore. But this is second year starting.
Okay, what the bleep are we doing here?
What? CJ Stroud's not doing that too? It's exactly the same thing.
But he is a sophomore.
Yeah.
Yes, but Jordan Love's in his second year starting.
Fair. Okay.
And by the way, Herbert also had the exact same phenomenon happen to him. All of a sudden, he stunk in his second year, and he was amazing his rookie. I don't know what the hell goes on.
But what I'm saying is that, whether it's, I thought you didn't believe in this stuff, Geek.
Does Jordan Love get a hot chick girlfriend, wife? Is that what happened? Like he became a player? No.
If that's true, it would continue into the playoff game is what I'm saying. Even in your scenario.
But I'm saying he had smoking hot chicks the whole time. It's not like he just started getting them, because that'd be distracting. That's what I think. I actually believe that's what the sophomore slump is caused by. You level up, like, all of a sudden you're Tony Romo, you're dating like a normal cheerleader from your college, and then Jessica Simpson shows up and you're like, oh my God, it's Jessica Simpson. And next year you don't play as good because you're distracted. No, you guys don't agree with my theory at all. See, I just like silenced the whole
I don't know. I don't think it works for Josh Allen because he got engaged and he just blew up.
That's true.
Yeah, but he always was with hot chicks.
It's just so funny. Kev was like, I don't believe in that stuff, but now we believe in that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I have
what are we
different
doing?
theories.
See, but this stuff
most of my theories revolve around hot chicks and what they affect on their men or money. Like Deshaun Watson, I believe he just got paid and was like, fuck these assholes. And that was it. And I was like, all right, I get that.
Yeah. And I want to be on the record too. Like I'm joking about the Packers. The Bears, I'm so happy they beat them, but the Packers are a capable team. They've looked good. They're well-rounded. Jordan Love is not, he looks lost for some reason, but he's a good quarterback. So this is absolutely, the Packers could upset the Eagles here. It's just hard to get excited after what we saw last week and what we've seen the last several from Love.
So it's a weird thing. No wide receiver gets more than 6 targets in a game all year from Jordan Love. It's been a weird offense. Nothing has changed about it. I don't know why it's this way, but when it's like that, it could also turn around on a dime. Remember, again, I'll say this: Mahomes, Love is no Mahomes, but I did watch Mahomes struggle most of last year, and then like all of a sudden, last couple of weeks, and then the playoffs, he was Superman all over again, and you're like, oh yeah, there's Mahomes. He just needed to snap out of it, and there it was. Like he started out a little slow, and then just went bananas. We haven't even seen the elite Mahomes yet this year, but we will.
And kind of like what we talked about in the previous slate, they are going to make Love beat them. The Eagles are the number 1 rushing defense in the league. Josh Jacobs is going to struggle here, most likely. And that means Jordan Love is going to have to use his arm to beat the Eagles. I think, tournament option for sure.
Yeah, and Eagles are always going to struggle a little bit to win these games. Their fandom has to suffer.
Sirianni stinks.
Oh, stop. But they're a long-suffering fandom. And when you're long-suffering, you don't get like easy games to sit back and enjoy with you. But like, look, going to kick in these wussies. No, you're going to be, you're going to be like this. And I know the Eagles fans. I'm a friend of Ben. I'm almost from Philly. They know me there. They know me in Philly because we got the green connection here. I've been accepted in Philly. I went to Angelo's, the pizza, had a cheesesteak and a pizza. Really good. Comparable to New York. I'm not even kidding. The pizza.
All right. So, that's a wild statement.
Yeah. Philly has some good pizza. Like they're legit.
You got to go to Geno's or Pat's. You're not
fuck Geno's. It's a tourist place.
Geno's, get some cheesesteak, but at least get some cheesesteak while you're in Philly. Why are we eating pizza there?
No, Angelo's has the best pizza too. The best cheesesteak too. It's a pizza place, but their cheesesteak is the best in town. That's where the locals go. Gargano.
You're not going to be allowed back at your pizza shop.
No, Gargano told me about it. I don't have a good pizza place by me. They're all New York slice, like football pizzas everywhere. It's just football. It's fine. 7-6. Every place by me. 7-2, 7-6. We don't have an 8. I'm an upstate.
John's a bleaker. I mean, that place.
No, I'm upstate. Yeah. I'm not there.
Oh, around you. That's right.
Yeah. I'm upstate. We don't have that here. It's all 7-5s. Football pizza. All right. But we didn't even get to the best game.
The best one.
Hold up.
One.
It's been a while. It's been a while for one of these. But I got to tell you. The Commanders at the Bucks, 50-point total. Awesomeness on both sides. Offensive explosion. Take it away. Boner alert. You knew it was coming. You knew it was going to happen. That's the game. I love who doesn't love Tampa? Okay, first of all, the weather's beautiful. The beach is the nicest in America. It's right on the Gulf of America.
Some would debate you on that.
Here we go.
Right on the Gulf of America. Beautiful beaches over there. Tampa, nice town. Clear water.
Tampa's not really on the water.
It's on the Gulf of America.
It's close.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say that. Love that team. Super fun to watch Baker. Baker's the man. And then you have Jaden Daniels. He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
He's so fucking good. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he was my quarterback in the first look. It was either him or Baker. I can't remember which one I went with. But I love this game. High scoring affair. Back and forth. This is the one to get excited for, I think. Immortal doesn't... Gulf of America.
All right.
He doesn't like that. All right. So I love that game. And yeah, Baker and Jaden are going to be my favorites here. So take me through, BobbyWow. Start with you. Quarterbacks for the Sunday slate. Do you feel like you have to stack these guys +2, +1? Who are your favorites?
Man, on a 3-game slate, it does feel like you're probably stacking them with one. Outside of maybe Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels are probably the two guys you could potentially get away with. But even Hurts, I think you need to stack with one here, including Barkley. There's so many good options. I think Josh Allen and MVP.
So if you're playing Jordan Love, you're stacking him with 2.
You have to.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. He's 5,800. He could throw a touchdown to 4 different guys. When he's on it, he's spreading the football around and he's throwing touchdowns to different wide receivers and tight ends. That's the thing about Love, that where it's like I don't want to force anything. But yeah, obviously I don't hate it on a 3-gamer. But he's so cheap and different from everybody else. But again, I think it's Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Baker. Those 4 guys. I mean, that's the cream of the crop right there. Those guys are absolute studs.
Anything can happen. I mean, for me, Jaden, Josh Allen, and Hurts are all like clear cut, stacked with 1. As a matter of fact, if I play Josh Allen, I don't even mind going naked with him. He hasn't needed to be stacked at all this year.
I think Baker's +2.
Here's
though.
my question is, where do you think ownership lands with some of these guys? Because that really determines which direction I want to go.
Allen will be probably the highest.
You think? I think Daniels might be pretty solid at 7,500 of him just being pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think it probably Daniels or Allen as the 2 highest owned.
Hang on, I'm going to check the competition real quick, and we'll see if there's ownerships out there for this one. I'm guessing that it's going to be super level with Allen and Hurts maybe towards the top, but Jaden and Baker right there. I don't think we're going to see some unusually high amount. So let me see if I can find this slate here and get a look. Let's see.
Like for example, with Baker, one of these is not like the other. Where Baker's not, I love Baker as much as anybody else. I love the Bucks, but he's not that much cheaper than Hurts and Daniels, and he's the one guy that doesn't really run quite as much. His rushing upside, he's flashed some good rushing upside earlier in the season, but it's Allen, Daniels, and Hurts. I mean, those guys run the football really effectively.
Knicks too. You can add him in there.
Ooh, I'm looking at a competitor site, and just to see what the ownerships are projected.
One of the better ones? Are you looking at one of the better sites?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know if it's better. But they have Jaden Daniels far and away the highest owned at around 30%. Oh, wait, am I looking at DraftKings or Fanduel? And then, no, this is DraftKings, yeah. And then Hurts and Allen sitting around 20%, then Baker, and then almost no ownership on Knicks or Love.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if Baker's the 4th lowest owned, then that makes more sense.
I think
Baker was chalky. That's the reason to get off him a little bit. But yeah,
I think Baker's low owned because exactly that. He's priced really close to like Jaden Daniels, who seems like a better play. Let's look at the props projection here. Baker gets a 20, really strong. Jaden is really, really strong at 24. And
20, 22 almost.
22 for Jalen, and Jolo, no go. Oh, yeah, I think it's Daniels. I think Daniels is the correct highest owned guy.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pick just one, guys. All right. If you had to pick just one quarterback, and then we'll move on. Just one pick. Bobby. He's not even listening. Bobby,
I think it's I'm thinking. I think it's probably Allen or Hurts.
Allen or Hurts?
Allen if it's cashy. Hurts more of a GPP play.
Burns? One pick.
Out of all the quarterbacks,
Yeah.
For me, it's Josh Allen. This dude just balls out in the playoffs.
Okay. Josiah, just one pick.
For me, it's Daniels. I know it's chalky, but if I want to get different, it's Knicks.
There it is. That tells you what you need to know, guys. Moving on to the running back position. Sunday only slate. Let's take a look at. I'm now sorted by. Let me go to prompts projection real quick so we can get like a little more sorted by value here. But Bucky, Saquon on the slate. Favored running back. I like favored running backs. James Cook also not a bad price. Favored running back. Got some underdogs. Josh Jacobs, Brian Robinson Jr., and then whoever the fuck is the running back for the Broncos. I don't know, but But some really good running backs available to us on this one. Bucky going to be super popular. I think Saquon should be super popular. I don't know if he will be at his price. And then maybe James Cook. Like, I don't know. Do you guys like any of the turds down there? Josiah, any of the cheaper guys that aren't the big three that I just mentioned kind of pop for you? Or do you have any sort of narrative that can convince me that Jaleel McLaughlin is a good player or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me in situations like this is just focusing on good game environments, which thankfully we have a good amount of that of here. And then is looking at guys who don't have a lot of ownership. And if I had to make some educated guess here, it's really looking at guys like Austin Eckler, guys like Jaleel McLaughlin, but I'm going to prioritize Javonte Williams and Brian Robinson Jr. Those are just game environments and teams that I like on this slate who I feel like aren't going to see the ownership that they should. So yeah, those are the guys I'm looking at who might be a little bit more sneaky.
Those guys are going to be super low owned. I am sneaking a peek here again at some other ownerships, and Bucky far and away the highest owned.
Was he going to be about 50%?
50. This one has him at between 50 to 60%. Saquon just under 40, and then Jacobs and Cook at 30%. With the next highest, like a bunch of turds, Jaleel McLaughlin, Ty Johnson, Austin Eckler, and Brian Robinson below those guys, actually, which is weird. But a couple of 4K turds and then back to it. And really, you have to look at these 4K turds as like, okay, who do I like more? Random wide receivers that cost $4,200, random tight end, or this guy, right? So a little bit of that. So I don't know. What do you think here? I like the chalk. The one thing that stands out to me is I don't know that Josh Jacobs necessarily belongs up there in ownership with the other three. He being an underdog. I like favorite running backs.
Agreed.
BobbyWow, any insights here?
I don't know how you don't block button Saquon. He is fresh, rested, and coming into his first meaningful playoff game in a long time, right?
Yeah.
To me, he's not priced high enough. He's got far and away the highest prop projection on the slate outside of Bucky. So to me,
weirdly, Bucky's prop is higher than his.
Yeah, it's pay up at running back to me is what this tells me. Don't try and get cute with McLaughlin. Don't try and get cute with Rachaad White didn't even get a touch last week. He didn't touch the ball a single time in a must-win game.
The coach was like, you should have heard the coach. There's a what the coach said about it. He's like, Rashad's a good running back. Bucky's playing a lot better. I was like, okay, thanks for being honest.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it. Here's why you pay up a running back. Number one, the prop projections are off the charts for those two guys. But number two, these are, for the most part, the wide receivers we talked about week after week after week, saying you can't trust. Like AJ Brown, for example. Can we really trust paying up for AJ Brown? Mike Evans, yes, I think that's fair. But Cortland Sutton, another guy where it's like, I don't want to, if I can spend up at running back and, pay down a little bit to a guy like, Jalen McMillan or, even K-Shack or Devonta Smith, like I'm doing that all day, every day. So that's kind of where I'm at is lock and load on the two highest price running backs and go.
I think it's weird. I think Barkley's too low owned. He's at 37, 36, 35%. They're crazy. And James Cook has been, does he have this touchdown record for running backs on the Bills? I mean, this dude has been putting it in the end zone. The thing that would shock me is like if Ty Johnson has one of those weird, like all of a sudden he's a wide receiver and he gets 7 receptions kind of games, like that one game. That'd be really weird. Lattimore a full go. I don't even think that matters at all.
Well, it does because him and Mike Evans have had some serious battles in the past.
Yeah.
And so it could actually be a battle between those two again. Otherwise,
it's like they
it's
brought
not really
him
that
in.
big of a deal. But
it's like they brought him
Lattimore's
in
lost
just for
a
this
step.
Evans matchup.
Lattimore's lost a step, though.
Yeah. Let's shift gear here.
Yeah,
Let's
for
talk
sure.
about wide receiver. I think the running back spot is actually very, very straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to play Bucky and Barkley, a little bit of James Cook in the mix. And then to me, Jacobs is fadeable or not fadeable, but he's not somebody I'm excited to pay up for. He's more expensive than Bucky and his prop is full 3 points lower. If you think Josh Jacobs is going to smash, you should bet that on this props. You can make a lot of money betting those overs on the props.
If you do pay down, I think Eckler's the way to go. I mean, look, he's looked good the last couple of weeks, and look at his prop. His prop projection is better than any of those guys. Outside of B-Rob, he's really close to B-Rob, and again, 1K cheaper. So
Yeah.
Eckler is the pay down, at least according to the props. He's the pay down guy.
Let me see what he's been doing here. But yeah, that could be it. That and Eckler, we know Eckler has that big upside. He's an explosive player. I like the call, BobbyWow.
If you're going to pay down, again, I'm locking and loading on Barkley and Irving.
You're not
Barkley and
fucking
Bucky.
around.
But if I'm going to need a flex, Eckler's in consideration for sure.
That's fair. All right, let's talk wide receivers here because this running back spot is pretty straightforward. Let me first sort by the prop projection to see kind of who's paying off here. Yeah, so Mike Evans, most expensive, highest prop,
Scary
great
Terry.
rating, but also a bit of a disappointment machine. Like he's when he's not getting it done, it really does ruin you. He's not a consistent guy, but stud's going to stud in the playoffs. And I think if the Bucks are winning, he probably would be a big part of it.
Yeah.
Do you want
That
AJ
prop
Brown at all?
projection's
I
looking
fucking
good for Scary Terry, though.
Yeah, well, Terry at 6,500, I like a lot more than the $7,500 version that we saw a couple weeks ago. I don't like it. Wait, what is this? Why is Cortland Sutton? Oh yeah, Cortland Sutton. I get him confused. Yeah, Cortland Sutton's on this. I don't know. So yeah, let's go through it, guys. Stud wide receivers on the slate. A lot of what we're going to do, it's hard to do this on a 3-game slate because a lot of what I'm doing is built around my quarterback selection. But let's just talk about like standalone plays that we love here. Evans, do you want him outside of your Baker Mayfield and Daniels lineups?
I don't know.
Hey,
On a 3-game slate, you got to consider it.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a
can't
rule
rule it
against
out.
it, but it's not something I'm going to force.
Right. Definitely. not
There
for-
are
no
receivers
rules.
in this range that I will force exposure to, but he's not one of them.
AJ Brown hasn't had the best of years. Probably hasn't been necessarily worth the salary that he's listed at.
He's one guy I would force with Hurts only.
Yeah, just with his quarterback. Yeah.
Yes.
Sutton,
I don't know. Evans, I think I'd keep Evans on the 6-game slate. This is how I play it. 6 or 3-game, right?
Yeah.
6-game Evans only with Baker. 3-game slate, let it flow.
Agreed.
You won't get him anyway. Whoever your quarterback is, that's going to be the wide receiver you probably wind up with. If you're paying up for those two running backs, the math will not allow a stud other than the one that's connected to your quarterback anyway. You'll see how it goes when you build them. If you're going to play the two stud wide running backs, the math just won't open up for Evans or AJ Brown or any of that. These 6K guys could fit there though. So you can get a Sutton, McLaurin. So in the 6K range, down to like Devontae. I like Devontae Smith at 5,700. I like him.
Yes.
I like that spot.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Big upside. Doesn't need as much as AJ Brown does. I like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not taking too many stands at the wide receiver position on this slate just because I like so many spots and I want to get a lot of exposure to a few different pieces. But McLaurin, Scary Terry, and Devontae Smith are the two that I am kind of hunkering down on, where I'm going to be 2-3x the field just because they are in fantastic spots and they're priced appropriately, where I feel like they have a lot of upside left. So that's just kind of my strategy for the slate.
Oh, totally not the FBI's looking at Monday in there. Got nothing to do with this one.
But when you're playing the 6-game slate, you got to take that into consideration.
Fair.
The wide receivers we're going to have to really get to know are not those studs. We know who the studs are. It's the lower cost guys. So in this zone, we have Packers wide receivers. I'll just put all three of them in a basket. Reed, Dubs, and Wicks right now. Christian Watson, Gonzo, sorry to hear it. ACL torn, might have been a career ender, not sure. But to me, we won't see him for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Take over for a second.
I mean, I think,
Okay.
I don't know, guys. I think in this 5K range, I think it really just comes down to like Kahil Shakir. You also got Jalen McMillan and who was the other guy? Marvin Mims. He showed up last week with 2 touchdowns. He's gotten 2 touchdowns the last 2 games for the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are 3 guys that need to be a part of the player pool for you, at least at field ownership, if not higher.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion.
Are you going to take a shot on any of the Green Bay receivers or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think you have to.
He's been missing all season, but if Philly does stack up Jacobs, and they should be able to as the number 1 rushing unit, that means Reed's going to have to be used in more ways than just a wide receiver. I think they get him involved in 5,500. He's probably got the best price to ceiling ratio of anybody on the slate to me, Jaden Reed. Love K-Shack. Deezus take the wheel, 100 rating. Love we were excited about McMillan before McMillan was excited about McMillan. I love him. He looks awesome. So K-Shack, McMillan, and then Dontavian Wicks, to me, is really the sleeper here at 4,500. We've seen him get heavily involved without Watson on the field. And, he's a touchdown target. I think he could be the most intriguing piece at 4,500, or below 5K. I think he's one of the more intriguing pieces on the slate.
Look at the props projection here. I mean, it's telling the story. Wicks and Olamide, by the way,
Yep.
stand out massively above every other option in this range. You're talking about guys who prop with a 9.3, 9.2 versus, a 6, a 5. Ugh, I hate Amari, right? So these guys are your and Veli and Matt Collins, like these two here, Wicks and Olamide really pop on the projections compared to everybody else. And you're right. When you move your way up there, it's Mims a little bit, but Jalen McMillan for real, and K-Shack are the ones that are really popping in that zone. And I think the props are right.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're right. I think you could believe it. Believe it. K-Shack going to have a good game. With the Packers trio, you literally never know which of those 3 is going to get it done. Probably one will. I'll give him that. I think one of those guys probably has a really good game.
I love Wicks, man. I love Wicks, the forgotten guy. Dubs just hasn't been a point guy this season. He's gotten some volume at times, but really it's been Wicks and Reed earlier in the season. So look, Wicks last week against a 24% target share with Watson off the field. That's significant.
Grim wants to give Amari one more shot.
I like it. I like the Amari call. And I'll be honest, there's absolutely no statistics, no math, no nothing that's leading towards Amari Cooper's a great play. It's just the fact that guys who have been a guy before usually show up in the playoffs. And Amari Cooper has been a guy, like a receiver one option. And so you don't want a lot. He's probably going to burn you, but you can do like 1 to 2% and celebrate. He's probably a better anytime touchdown prop, to be honest, bet, but I'm still going to take a shot here on Cooper.
I like it. I agree.
Cooper going full Larry Johnson and just showing up for the playoffs. What's up?
I don't know, Josiah. I might be a full fade on Amari.
That's okay. I get it.
I know. I just might be a full fade, even on a 6-game slate with him. 3-game slate, it's a little different. You have less games to, there's less value across the slate versus that 6-game slate. But, on the 6-game slate, he's a full fade.
I'm saving Amari. I'm saving my Amari action, I think, for next week. Like, I want the Bills to be in a little bit more of a competitive spot. I don't think that's what we're going to see. I genuinely, I said it at the beginning. I don't know that we're going to get this competitive. I think it's going to be a little more defense. It's going to be kind of like a ho-hum offense situation. If you're a rookie quarterback, you're nervous. Not Jaden Daniels. That dude is not human, but I'm saying a normal person is nervous in the playoffs if you're a rookie. Like, you're just not going to play. I don't think Denver's coming in here. Denver's just happy to be here.
They are just happy to be here, but I think that's why they're not nervous.
Yeah, there's no pressure.
They have that no pressure. We can just go out there, give it our best shot, and keep it close.
I mean, am I really playing? Jalen McMillan is our guy here, right? Jalen McMillan.
Shaq too. Yeah, Mims is the guy that could score 2 points or he could score 20, right? I don't have any confidence that Mims is going to score well. I do have confidence in the floor and ceiling of both K-Shaq and McMillan in particular. I can't say the same about Mims.
Yeah. I got to say, I like K-Shaq a good bit. McMillan. I think it's McMillan than K-Shaq for me, but they're both really good.
No one wants to play K-Shaq either, which I love.
Who's PS2 on, Burns? I know the answer, which is I don't fucking know. It could be anyone. But
who is Patrick Surtain going to be on?
Yeah.
Keon Coleman.
Oh, not good for Keon. Green Bay.
But he won't shadow. He's going to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Yes to Oliver. Yes.
This is as sneaky as it gets. You want to hear something crazy, Tristan Oliver? When you look at the Super Bowl odds, weirdly, Packers were like higher than a lot of teams that you would expect them not to be higher than. For considering their, I believe the 7th seed, their Super Bowl odds was above like pretty much the other teams that you would think wouldn't be. Like they had higher Super Bowl odds than the Rams.
They were better, but they were better than all those teams. Far. It's just the division rocks. That's the
whatever
problem.
It was. Their Super Bowl odds. I think they feel like if they can get past the Eagles, like
it's just a better team record wise. Even like they're just good.
Whatever it is, I didn't think the Packers were that great, but there it is. So.
Yes, absolutely in tournaments because you only need 10 to 15% exposure to love stacks to have leverage on a slate like this, which is beautiful. You don't have to kill all your lineups in MME. Yeah. So I love it
for sure.
I think, listen, I think if you're playing in a 3-game slate, if you have you should be doing that.
If you're trying to take down the Millie, you better have some Green Bay Packer stacks.
If you're just going to play the chalk, it's not going to win. So like if you're playing like chalky lineups, like fine, but you need to do something unique or just get weird with it. I remember a 3-game slate where Mac Jones was the nuts quarterback, and that was a slate with like Josh Allen and Lamar on it, and Mac Jones got it. That kind of weird stuff does happen. So you just can get as weird as you want, and the weirder you get on a 3-game slate, the better. If you're in a giant super contest, you ain't winning anyway, probably. So yeah, get something different.
Love is actually good.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is I do like Knicks a little bit more as like a sneaky leverage play, but it's fine.
Yeah, Knicks for me is that situation. I told you he's just negated by Josh Allen being in the same game, just like Lamar is negating Russell Wilson a little bit. Just if Denver is getting it done, Josh Allen is going to go absolutely bazoingas unless James Cook gets it. Is that guy? But that's usually not what happens with the Bills. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know I don't know about all that. Any other wide receivers to keep an eye on that are sub 4K that might pop more than, let's say, a tight end that we're going to like, sub 4K on this one. Olamide, great. All right, Devon, whatever. Down here, anything?
Below Wicks and Olamide, nobody will eclipse like 5 to 10% at most in MME, and probably not even that high.
No, there's no
their
ownership
quarterback.
down there.
No, yeah.
No ownership down there. All right, let's talk tight ends for this one. And as we said 5 times already, a lot of times double tight end does work in these. I'm not sure that this group of tight ends will stand out in that way, but let's talk it through and see. So I feel like there's a little less stud power on this one than in the on the Saturday only. Not that that's stud power there either, but like it's a little worse.
Yeah.
You trust it a little bit more.
Yeah, like Ertz. I mean, Bill Ho saying lock in Ertz. Do I want to lock in Ertz? I don't know.
Yeah.
Cade Otton's really good. He's back to health.
Cade Otton is really good.
Yeah, he's back to health for 4K. I mean, he's not cheap enough. Dalton Kincaid, meh.
It's Kraft, man. It's Kraft again this week. We like Kraft. He had a 28% target share last week, guys. With Christian Watson out, yes, Wicks benefits, but Tucker Kraft even more so. He was on the field for every snap, basically. 28% target share.
That's real.
There's no one sexy on here. And his prop projection's juicy. Best points per dollar play on the slate. I just don't know how Tucker will be the top owned tight end for me, far and away.
I think you also have to get ownership in Dalton Kincaid as well. I think he is. He's a sneaky guy this week. I think a lot of people might overlook him, especially on the 6-game slate. I think he's going to go a little bit under owned, but
he'll be the lowest owned of this group right now, according to
yes.
Right now, it looks like Ertz, Goddard, and Kraft all like at the high owned range, with Kincaid and Otten bringing up the rear. So Otten will be very low owned too. I think you kind of listen. I'm down with Tucker Kraft as a play. That's great.
Kincaid has never scored well. He's still yet to score well in his career. 13 points was his high this season.
Kincaid is a hopium.
He's been sneaky for the last 2 years.
Yeah,
that's my problem with Kincaid.
He's priced wrong.
And I'm mad only because I drafted him everywhere, so that's why I'm upset.
I have dynasty exposure to him, and it's not fun. Yeah, no, they don't throw to him. We all thought he was going to emerge. This is like Kyle Pitts, part 2.
But targets are actually there for Kincaid. He at least does see more than 5 targets a game.
He occasionally gets a 7-target pop.
Yeah, better than Pitts.
Yeah, it's a little better, but yeah, the production has not been there for him or any of the pass catchers for the Bills this year. It's just Josh Allen. Like I told you before, Josh Allen. I think there's maybe been one time when he's put up a monster score this year where you should have stacked him. He should have always just been naked or with James Cook. I don't think this is a 2. I am going to go out on a limb and say, I don't think double tight end takes it.
Wow.
On a 3-gamer?
I love the tight end. I
always like double tight end. I think this is that time when we can it. Let's go. I think it might not take it.
20 instead of 50 in the flex, right?
Yeah, I'd be lower on my tight end in the flex here. Maybe like 30. Okay, 30. Let's not go crazy, Josiah. How about 30? All but right. Like I'm gonna probably limit it. I don't like the double.
You're not gonna play anyone cheaper than Goddard and Kraft at wide receiver.
Let's just put the chalk
for dang sure. Here. And I think both those guys are solid plays.
Let's see.
Picking up a running back.
Let's see. You put in Tucker Kraft. You put in a defense. Right? Who cares which one? Middle defense. All right. 5K left. Let's see. Who's the Jade Downs in there? So you want Terry McLaurin. Want a piece from the opponent. McMillan. 4,400 left. You're double tapping Wicks and Olamide.
There you go.
Nope. Yeah, I didn't get Olamide. So Oh, Zach Ertz looks good there. Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
look, maybe we are doing double tight end. a little
maybe it
bit.
is double tight end day. Oh, wait a second.
Ertz, Kincaid, Goddard, all three of those guys you could get in there.
Yeah, actually, as you put it together, I think I can do it. Like, yeah, as you do put it together. So if I did a Mayfield version, and hey, I want to get Mike Evans in there too, and yeah, you're back to with Barkley and Irving in there, you are playing 2 tight ends, or you're probably doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is at wide receiver, everything below 4,300 is garbage.
Exactly.
But a tight end under 4,300,
that's the priciest tight end is 4,300. You got to play anybody.
And then you have Otten, Kincaid. I mean, there's not that many after. Under 3,700 is crap at tight end too. In fairness, there's nothing under crap that I'm interested in.
No, but all those guys, Goddard, I think too. Even Goddard's been hurt, but he looked good earlier this season when he was healthy.
Goddard, unlike Dalton Kincaid, Goddard has games where he pops for a big number. Like he does do that every once in a while. We haven't seen it from Kincaid yet. Goddard, he's got a 30-pointer and a bunch of 12s, 15s, and that's pretty damn good for his price point. So that's fine. All right, defense, guys. Anybody have a preference on a defense here?
Eagles or Bills going for favorites. That Washington Bucks game, I don't trust enough to have a lean, but yeah, for me, it's gonna be the Bills and Eagles.
Got to pay for those 2 defenses,
Yeah, it's pricey. It's tough.
I do think if there's going to be a pick 6, it's going to come from that Bucks Commanders game, but it's just hard to pull the trigger. Baker turns the football over. Jaden Daniels, a rookie, as good as he's been, he could turn the ball over. That's the only thing keeping me from fading those 2 teams.
Shouldn't fade it. No, there's the other defenses don't even stand out that much. Like Bills, yeah, okay. Bills, I think, are the best, but they're so expensive. It's tough. Eagles, fine. Also a good defensive team. So yeah, I think those are the clear-cut best plays, but it's no lock button that paying up is going to work.
Yeah, mix them in.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's wrap it up there. We did we got it broken down. 2 games, playoff action. Love the wild card weekend. Love these 3-game and 2-game slates. I recommend mass multi-entering these. If you're not doing enough, FanDuel's got a 50-cent mini max game that is really good and easy to afford, and you can make a ton of lineups for that. FanDuel, whatever price you want to pay, they got a giant tournament, 5 cent, 25 cent, $3, whatever you like. I like mass multi-entering these types of slates. Use the optimizer and really attack lots and lots of angles. That's how I like to. That's how I like to do it. Tristan Oliver loves the Green Bay stack. He's going to. Hope you print with that stack tomorrow. A little read and craft, or get some dubs going. A little Wix, whatever you got to do. I will be back tonight for DFS Army subscribers on the Domination Station Optimizer. Just doing my setup. I'll do it on live stream. We'll hang out. We'll just hang out, set up the Dom, answer some questions, whatever you guys want to do. We'll be there for it. Figure tonight, maybe 10-ish. I'm throwing ish at the end of it. And yeah, good luck to everybody this weekend. Good luck to the Tournament Tactics crew here. I hope to see helmets up all over these tournaments this weekend. We'll be back on Monday to break down the showdown. Take care, everybody. We will see you next time.